Time for Mr. Truck, reviewing the latest innovations for your truck and trailer.
Well, now there's 5 of us. 5 off-road vehicles in one family. It's the newest one. The YJ Wrangler, 1987, the first year. The year before that, they were CJ7 Laredos. And the Honda Pioneer. And the Honda Rancher 420. My son David's Rancher 420. And a little 250 quad racer. So we can do it all. We got the machines. And they are fun. They take 2 trailers now instead of 1, but we'll figure it out. Mr. Truck here. I'm doing my first Jeep review, and this is the one I bought. Don't you love it? It's got fire on it. It's got flames. It's got the chrome grille on the bumper, man. It's got the look. So it's my first Jeep. This is a 1987, and we look up the VIN number, and it's called the Laredo AMC or whatever back then. And then I don't know if that Wrangler started after that or before that or whenever, but yeah, it's a Wrangler. And this one, we've had to do a lot of work on because it's a Frankenstein, like almost of all trucks and old Jeeps. They've been redone so many times, you don't know what they got. And this one had a 4.2 inline carbureted AMC engine when it was called the Laredo. And now it has a it's an 87 vehicle, but it's a 1996 Jeep Cherokee motor. And they took out the old Peugeot transmission, put a Chrysler 5-speed overdrive in it, but so it's a 1996, and it's an inline 6 high output 4-liter, that famous engine, and a 5-speed. And so the last guy did a lot of stuff to it, kind of put 2 guys back. If you look at the lineage of these things, put on like a 2-inch lift on the shackle hangers. And then we went from a 31-inch tire to a 33-inch tire, so we gave it another 1.5 inches. So it's about 3.5 inches taller than stock, which I can still barely climb into it. About the same height as what my old Ram Dodge Zella was, or my Dodge Zella truck. But we're going to take this up. We're in Moffett Tunnel. We're going to take it up Rollins Pass, see how much snow there is up there. And it's a 4-wheel drive, and all that stuff works. And we put different wheels and tires on it, so we got a little bit of tread on it. About another year, I'll be buying new tires. And I just got a new spare for it yesterday. Well, I got a cheap one off of Craigslist or one of those places. But anyway, we're testing it out. We had to do a lot of electrical things. My youngest son Eric's been working on electrical parts. We're going to put a shut-off switch on because there is a lot of problems on these things. And actually, a lot of the stuff on here has live juice all the time, even if you shut the switch off. So we got to work on the light on the tachometer. We got to work on the blinker lights, a few other things that just stay on all the time. So we're going to put a kill switch so we can shut everything off instead of just keep pulling the battery cable off like we're doing today. We're going to put the kill switch on there. And we got the back seat put in here, and it looks pretty sharp. I couldn't afford all those fancy brackets, so my high lift jack, my handyman jack, has got 3 or 4 zip ties on it. My fire extinguisher has 3 zip ties on it. So we got a knife with us, so if something happens, we'll have to chop up those zip ties until I can get some brackets. But we're trying to do this on the cheap side. It's got a bikini top, and the snow likes to sit on that and get it pregnant. So I got to figure out a way to brace up that bikini top so the water doesn't run down on me after I climb in after a rain. But yeah, it's an awesome truck. And I got interested in Jeeps, CJ5s, because of Billy Jack. The old Tom Laughlin movies. He made 5 of those. The last one, The Revenge of Billy Jack, never got put out, and he directed it. But the first one really wasn't a Billy Jack movie where he rescued this girl from a biker gang. I remember watching that, and then all the Billy Jack movies and Trial of Billy Jack and all that where he's helping a school out against the bad guys. And I got a kick out of that. So I've even watched Tom Laughlin when he did that South Pacific movie where he sang in it while he's driving a B-17 into the crash zone. But I was a big fan of Billy Jack and Tom Laughlin's movies, and he made dozens of movies. And it's always that karate thing, back before Chuck Norris got well known. But anyway, this is my Billy Jack. So it's a fun Jeep. We're going to go try an easy trail this time, and then later on we're going to have Ruben, my mechanic, put in the front and rear lockers, and we'll decide on which one of those we're going to use. And I'll probably put, these are 10.5-inch wide, I'll probably put 12.5s on it to get a wider tire. I'm not sure I want to go to 35s. I think I'll stay with 33s. But I'm getting all kinds of advice. I belong to the Jeep Mafia, that group, so I'm trying to learn a few things from them. And I got half my cousins in Oklahoma all have Jeeps, and nephews and nieces, and everybody down there's got a Jeep. But it's always cool. We've always had fun with it, and we're trailering it now because we're not going to license it for a while. And I want to make sure we get all the bugs out before I do a road trip with it. So it's going to be my little side-by-side to go along with the Honda side-by-side we have and all those other Hondas. So it'll be fun. Get grandkids in here. Got seat belts for 4. Got a roll bar. Got a nice new aluminum dash. The last guy put in new gauges and new dash. And there's no rust on this puppy, so it was a big thing. Trying to find an old Jeep without rust is not the easiest thing to do. So we're going to run up here and probably have it in low range and check out the rocks. And we checked out the 4-wheel drive. It all works. And we get that the electronics fixed on. It'll be quite the machine. So we're going to have fun doing all this. But this is my new project, and it's a Jeep Laredo. So come join us and watch us climbing the mountains. This is another thing we're going to start doing with these trailering videos of the truck and the trailer, is trying to show you how we set up the trailers. And we're also going to do more manually shifting. But this is, of course, the same hitch I used on all the videos, the Gen Y adjustable hitch. And we're using their weight distributing hitch that they don't make anymore. Now they'll make an adapter for anybody else's weight distributing hitch. But we can't wear theirs out, so we're still using their setup here. Just Gen Y hitch, you see the spring arms hook up to the hitch head, and they go back to the brackets. And that's where they slide it in and out. That's where your friction is for your sway control. It's also where it lifts the hitch in the back of the truck up for your weight distributing. Now these slide into these brackets, and they move in and out of them, and so that's friction is what slows your sway down. They'll grab, and that'll actually keep the trailer from swaying as much. They're very effective. And also that, that's the weight distributing. Now to get these bars in there, I mean, there's a tool that you can get from Equalizer that pop into place, and actually this Way Safe has the same kind of tool. But if you use your jack, lower after you hook up, so when you hook up your coupler and your ball, latch them, and then use your jack to lift up on the truck and the trailer. That takes pressure off that, and then you can just slide, the spring arms will slide right into the bracket. That's the easiest way to hook up a weight distributing hitch, and that's how I do it. I do it the easy, lazy way, and that's the safest way too. You don't want all the pressure on that spring arm trying to kick it over there, trying to push it over there. You just want to slide it in place using the jack to take the pressure off the spring arms. Arm goes and attaches to the trailer on the L brackets for the sway control. Stops it from jerking left and right so much. It's really a good way to control sway. And when you put all that together, then also that spring gives you the lift which a weight distributing hitch needs to transfer weight to the front axle of the truck.
If you have a short bed truck, you know it's not easy to hook up to a gooseneck. Pop-Up came out with these extensions from 9 inches to 16 inches to keep you from breaking out your back window when you're pulling a gooseneck trailer. And everybody uses a short bed. That's the most proper truck there is a crew cab short bed. So protect that window.
It's Kent with MrTruck. Of course the wind is blowing. It's Colorado. We're now like Idaho and Kansas and Wyoming. It never quits blowing. But on this project, this Wrangler is 1987. Look, it's got KC lights on it. We're going to compare those to light source fairly soon. Get onto that. I'll probably put a winch, maybe a snowplow bracket on the front of this Jeep. But we keep running electrical issues, and to try to cut them down, we decided to put this kill switch. So now, instead of opening the hood and taking the terminal off the battery, we just flip a switch in the sidewall, which is good. It's slow getting more stuff done, a little more efficient. But I was going to go to a manual fan for the radiator and did a lot of research, talked to a lot of people. You see that pulley right there? That's on the water pump. That fan will not work with a mechanical. That pulley will not work with a mechanical fan. You've got to change the water pump back to what this would be for an 87 with a mechanical pump. Right now it's got the pulley set up on a water pump for a 1996 Jeep Cherokee. So that pulley will not take a mechanical fan, will not take a clutch fan, will not take a fiberglass or aluminum spacer fan. But the pilot circle's too big, the bolt circle is too wide. It ain't gonna work. We tried and tried. It was all I had to do was buy another water pump, and I could have made it work. Got the old shroud, but we decided to keep working on these gremlins on the electrical part. So we're going to put the electrical fan back in here, put of course, a switch on it, and a relay and a temperature probe, because this one didn't have it. He couldn't get it to fit the wiring harness. So we're going to be doing all that stuff. So back to the electric fan. I was blowing a 30 amp fuse every 2 miles, so that was no fun. So that's why I thought, well, if I get an alternator that goes out, then what am I going to do? Then I won't have an electric fan. But you know, you won't have anything. You won't have your electric fuel pump. You won't have anything that makes you go boom, boom. So going back to plan A. So I'm going to show you the fan. I'm going to put the electric fan back on. It's not a big deal. Probably change out the cold air intake. I'm going to take it to Ruben next week and say, Ruben, fix it. Let him find all the gremlins in the wiring harness. Probably change out the cold air intake on this, but trying to get this thing dependable so I can take the grandkids in a ride up in the mountains. But I did find in the box that came with it, with all the things they took off, some handles, man, so my big fat butt can climb in here without pulling the steering wheel off, because it's got some bearing issues we got to deal with. And there's also some kind of grab handle that came with it that'll fit on the back of the roll bar. And then up here is bikini top, which I like, man. It keeps the sun off you, and you can roll the windows up on the side. You can get protection from rain. Got a windshield wiper. That's one thing my Pioneer side-by-side doesn't have. But when it rains, this bikini top gets pregnant. It lowers itself way down to about touches you in the head. Then you try to push up on it, get rid of the water. Of course, you get wet. So I'm going to put a piece of plywood, I think 3/4 inch exterior plywood would be fine up there. But yeah, and I'll buy new tires next year, and then Ruben's going to put lockers on the front and rear differentials. Here's my new spare, getting all this stuff off of Craigslist, sometimes Facebook, but went to 33s, so I had to match that on the spare. This is a narrower tire than those, but it's the same height. It's 33 inches. The kind of one that came with it was really a small tire, so that ain't going to work. And then I went to China and got this door latch on the inside that was broke. And that was no big deal, $9, but you see the lock is upside down. So you know, in China, that's probably normal. So I almost thought it was for the other door, but it's not. It's for this door. Oh well, I can put up with that. I kind of know open and closed and locked and unlocked. But we're going to keep on working on this project till it's a good, dependable runner. Now, here's the electric fan. We're going to put back in there and wire it in to a switch, and then hopefully Ruben can make it dependable. And here's what I was trying to put in here. It was this shroud and this fan and this clutch. And I tell you, 2 days of research and asking every parts guy in the world what in the world to do. And I was going to go mechanical, but I talked to Andrew Lyon with Transwest. He's got Jeeps. He knows what he's doing. And he said, no, go to the electrical fan. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to make it work. We'll figure it out. So that's my latest update on my first Jeep. It's Billy Jack Wrangler. It's the first year of the Wrangler, 1987. If I would have went back a year, could have got a CJ7. Maybe I would have been happier. I don't know. I like the look of this one, though. Got just enough chrome. It's red. It has flames. And it's got that chrome grill, the chrome bumper. I mean, I like some chrome. I know chrome's getting to be a thing of the past, but not for me. I'm an old fart. I like some chrome. Okay, back working on the Jeep Wrangler, or the Laredo, or whatever it's called, in 1987. We burned it. We tried to do an external regulator, and I think it burnt up on us. So we got a good one, quick start. It's the high output alternator setup. You get all the wiring, the loom, all the instructions, and of course the regulator, because that seems to be the problem on the CPUs, the computer for the Jeep. what happens in a lot of those old ones is the regulator inside that computer goes bad, and then instead of spending $500 for a new computer, people will spend 30 to 60 bucks on an external regulator, which is what we're going to have to do too. So my son's working on that, put the new harness on, wired in, and we've also got an issue with the electric fan. It's got a high output electric fan. The previous owner just had it on all the time, and they shut it off by unhooking the battery. Well, that's not a good deal, so we're going to probably switch that, put a switch on it, figure it out. He tried to do a thermostat thing, which didn't work. So we're going to do that, and then we only got an issue on the dash. Is just the tachometer. It seems to turn the lights on when the switch is off, and then turns them off when the switch is on. So anyway, all these electrical issues, which is what happens when you have a Frankenstein Jeep, and that's several wiring harnesses. I know he put the new wiring harness on there, and then of course there was the old one still for the 4.2 carbureted engine. And we switched to the 4.0 high output, fuel injected. It needed some different wires for that. Yes, the Jeep project. Look at the dash. It's custom made aluminum. Some wire issues. My son Eric's trying to fix them all. We thought it was alternated, but that wasn't. So now we're checking out some of the wires. We actually had to put an external voltage regulator on because that didn't work. But yeah, this thing is tall. Now this thing does have these longer shackles that they put on there. It's kind of a mild lift. So the shackle hangers are longer on all four. So that made it go up about 2 inches. And then I put these. Well, I did go from a 31-inch 10.5 by 15 to a 33. Some 33. So figure with the long hanger extension for the shackle, gained a couple inches. And then they did lower the transfer case and the shield. And then we put these taller tires, so I've gained about 3.5 inches over what the stock Wrangler would be. Now you see the difference in size of the two tires. The one in the back is a 33 and one in the front a 31. And it was a street tire, and we got more of an all-terrain tire behind it. But yeah, I like these black wheels, but put this over here side by side. Now you can see the height's difference, and the knobby tire's about half wore out, so those would be taller. I like the grips on it. Use the same width of tires. But yeah, that's what everybody does. Changes the tires. That's been our first improvement. Fixing the wiring, that's our second improvement. And yeah, you just have fun in these projects. First Jeep I've ever owned. I have no idea what the axle ratio, but I know it's pretty high because this thing, even in low range in first gear, goes pretty fast. So it might be next year's project, put in the lockers front and rear. I'll have Ruben, my mechanic in Greeley, do that. And then we'll probably gear it down to 410 or something like that, because it feels about like a 330 right now. We'll find out. But it's exciting having a Jeep. See, to me, this is basically like a big side-by-side. There's another project truck, belongs to my son. It used to be mine. Yeah, I sold off my 3 project trucks and moved out here. But we'll have a lot of fun with this. Got seatbelts for 4 and roll bars, so I can haul some grandkids in it and do everything we do with our side-by-side Honda Pioneer. It's a little wider than that, so we won't go through all the same trails, but it'll be fun. I was hoping to buy a new Yamaha Wolverine 4-seater, but it's $15,000 to $20,000. We're only talking about $3,000 invested in this puppy. So during all the crisis we're having here in the country with virus and all, it's guys got to be frugal. Now you also can see on this transfer case that they lowered it 1.5 inches or so. You do that when you lift them so that your pinion angle is right on your differential. And the universal joints don't make any noise. This is good. We don't have axle wrap or any of that torquing stuff. But yeah, so they had to do that to space the transfer case somewhat down and cut holes so the transfer case could move around. But yeah, all that stuff to give me a little bit of a lift. Yeah, there's my new tires, and they're KOs, man, all-terrain BFGs. The 4.0 inline 6 high output. On the front here, we got a chrome grille. Go mechanical fan along with the new water pump. You got to get a new pulley, and because the tower on a water pump for mechanical fan is taller, you got to go to an offset pulley, so it'll go back further and line up with the belt you have. All kinds of stuff, and you got to learn all that stuff, and it took a lot of talking to a lot of parts stores to get that figured out. One of the guys at O'Reilly's was really sharp and helped me work my way through it, so I really had good alternatives. But I'm going back with electric fan. I hope that does it. Yep, there's my bikini top. It's fun to take off and put on. And a little ball on the back. Not much of a bumper. But yeah, I put my handyman jack. It's just bungee cord till I can find one of those cool brackets. Same way with my fire extinguisher. It's just got zip ties. I'll have to cut it off in an emergency. Seat belts in the back for 2. And that seat all folds up nice. Got a roll bar. And it's got a roll bar that goes from the roll bar to the windshield, and it's got a new windshield frame. And I had to put the strap on it to keep the front from pulling off when I was flying down the road with the trailer. Yes, indeed. But yeah, it's so cool. So we're kind of getting the wiring right now. We'll get it figured out. That's how these things work. You got to work on them. So that way you know the Jeep inside and out. You always keep it running. I do like the dash. I do like the gauges. It's got a tilt seat so I can actually get away from that steering wheel without cutting a hole in my belly. Getting this thing fixed up so I can go against Nathan Adler and his Suzuki Samurai. This puppy's got like a custom computer, a CPU or whatever they call them. It's got a bunch of things added to it. That's what a lot of people do, because if that's where your voltage regulator is. It's oil type. Air filters on it. Don't quite know what that spigot's for on the intake. Power brakes, power steering, power. It's got the hydraulic clutch, the slave and master. It was called a Laredo AMC. You look up the VIN number, that's what you get. Then owner number 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever it was when I bought it. He put in out of a 1996 Cherokee this 4.0. high output. I really like that engine. I've always liked that in the Jeeps. Good engine. And he did some, some super motor mounts, some transmission mounts, and did all his work on it. So that's what people do. They do their share, and the next owner does his stuff, and the next owner goes on and on. So these Jeeps can live forever, kind of like an old farm tractor. They can live forever. So someday I'm going to get a winch, take this bull bar off, put the KC lights on the winch. Yeah, that'll be a new project. Well, here we go. It's surging a bit, kind of riding rough. We're in 4 high. I'm trying to level it out, and I may have to let some air out of these tires. Pretty crazy bumpy. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, it's a rough road, but it's not this rough. I know the Wranglers that have coil springs, which came out much later, are much smoother than what these leaf springs are. This is definitely rougher. Needs some snow to calm this thing down. We'll find us a snowbank up here. Oh, holy cow! I don't think you can drink and drive in this. I don't care what kind of water it was. Drink and drive with that over there. Since it's not carburetor, I can't mess with the air screw. It's surging now. And that's part of what's making it rough, is it's surging. Looked like it had a tune-up. It looked like new spark plugs on it. I'm not sure. I know we need to let some air out of the tires, but that would help just a little. This is just rougher than I'll get out. Most of it has to do with the gas, the surging. We'll figure it out. One more problem to figure out. Yeah, I noticed that right off. Yes, you got to root off your blood nose. There we go. I don't hate you down.
Uh-oh.
We could get to that.
Uh-oh. Water crossing.
Water crossing. Yeah, I guess that's what that is. This has always been a rough road, even an ATV. Which always, I didn't like, not you like going across it, but to me it shake the crapness out of you.
This is one of the better ones.
Is it? No, this is one of the worst ones. This is rocky road. This is pure rock sticking out of the clay. We can figure out that surgeon thing. That's why I was trying to shift the lower gear so I can give it more throttle, but that's not working either. Well, we're bouncing a little less. We're lots of bunch of air on the tires. We're down to 20. We may have to go down to 10. But since we have an electric fan and it doesn't shut off and on, you either got it on or you off, and it heats up. So I got it on again, but I thought maybe it was pulling so much power that it was pulling the alternator down, which is pulling the engine down, causing it to surge. So we're not quite sure about the surging thing. Right now I'm in low range in third gear, just letting it idle and smooth it out. Plus, we took the air pressure down from 30 to 20. These tires can have 50 pounds in them, but they weren't aired up by somebody. But anyway, we got down to 20. It may go down lower. Of course, that was really rocky back there. We're trying to figure out how to make this a little smoother, closer to what a side-by-side, not the big razors with the giant wheel travel, but like my Honda Pioneer 500. It's rough riding, but not as bad as this. So we're going to try to do that, get this closer to like a flotation kind of tire, give this traction and flotation, and we're not going to figure out a way to have better power without surging. So I'm not sure if we can turn these up or not, but since I try to use my foot pedal, I'm going to start surging back and forth, high, low, higher RPMs, lower RPMs, not jumping a lot, but jumping enough to just make it a crazy ride. Try to accelerate, it's not very smooth. So we got a lot of things to work on. Boy, we're very close to the edge on that. We have back to trailer up in here before. Let's see, I'm gonna have to shift down. See if that helps. Now we're in second low range. I sure hope I don't have to go to a 5-link coil just to get a better ride. Coils are a better ride, but if you want to spend extra money, that's why I bought a Jeep. That's a Jeep. I'm really Jack. Just gotta get a kidney belt to drive it right now. So you folks, especially the Jeep Mafia folks, you have an idea as to how I can smooth this out a little without spending a whole bunch of money, let me know. Or it may take the air pressure down to 10 psi. We had our four-wheelers, our ATVs, we had them down to 3. But that's like a balloon tire they have. This isn't quite that much. I'm going to overheat the sidewall. We get too little air in them. We're not going that fast, but we did smooth it out quite a bit. But still, we're going to have to figure out how to calm down the throttle. I was trying to find it with just the right gear combination. And I'm close. We're close. I'll learn all about this Jeeping thing. Very tightened up the steering wheel, like the bearings going out of the. Oh, are you aiming the camera toward me or?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyway, So much fun, we forgot to put our seatbelts on. We're not in a dangerous part, we're just on a little road, a rocky road. But now we gotta figure us all out and put seatbelts on. We want to be safe. We're not wearing helmets in this yet because, you know, roll bars and seatbelts are not required to actually have helmets. It's probably not a bad idea. If I put grandkids in the back seats, they don't have the shoulder belt, they just have the lap belt. We'll certainly make them wear helmets. But yes, bouncing along here trying to smooth this puppy out. So I think part of it is the throttle surge. I might be able to let some more out of these tires. I just don't have a compressor to air them up if we get them too low. And I've rode with Jeeps. Some other people had Jeeps. We had our side-by-side. Our ATVs, and he always had to air them down, air them up. And it took quite a bit of time. Actually, we could load all of our machines on a trailer. And that's 4 machines the time it took him to just air his tires up. So I always thought that was kind of weird. But our ATVs, we can just leave them down because they're on a trailer. That's how this Jeep's going to be. Since I'm going to load on a trailer, we can just leave the air down on them. Oh, look at that. Turkey! Turkey! Wow, you don't see too many wild turkeys here. I know some people had them, but I don't see them very often. Of course, I'm still trying to find my first bear. First bear. Okay, here's a little smoother. We're going to find another deer. Well, yeah, you see me turning around there. You know, we thought we had it all figured out and had all those electrical gremlins figured out. But you know what? We don't need no stinking badges. I mean, fuses. Yeah, we forgot the fuses. We thought we had it all figured out and the electrical problems had gone away, but no, they just were delayed. We went from a 10 amp to a 20 amp to a 30 amp, and yeah, it blew the 30 amp. So back to the drawing board, our first big run up the mountain, and you know, had to push it down the mountain. Of course, that was mostly David. I couldn't climb in and out of that Jeep fast enough to go pushing on it. We would have lost the Jeep over the side if it was me pushing on it. And I tried to talk David into bringing his Honda Rancher ATV with us and ride both of them. And then, you know, if we had problems, he could have towed me down the mountain. But he didn't want to do that. He thought he would just have fun in the Jeep. So I think he had fun in and out of the Jeep, pushing me down the hill. He did push me a couple miles, and most of it was downhill. A few places that flattened out. And I would start it up and run it, you know, until it got up to about 210 degrees, and I'd shut it off. So, you know, sometimes on the flat areas, I got to help him a little bit with the engine. But, you know, we got all the way down to the bottom and got it loaded up. And, you know, we had the truck and the trailer back at Monarch at the big train tunnel there. So, yeah, it was quite the deal on our big adventure, the first run up the mountain. So now we've learned a lot, and we're going to, you know, get that kill switch figured out and have Ruben, the mechanic, figure out the electronics on it, see why the darn fan has so many problems and it pulls so much juice. It takes away my power when I'm trying to float up this mountain. And, you know, we learned all about airing down tires because that made a big difference in how the ride was. I think we settled on 20 pounds. I'm going to take it down to 15 on the next trip. And maybe a little wider tire, but these are 3-ply sidewalls on these tires, and you know they're pretty stiff, so we'll figure that out too. But it was fun, I guess.